This movie had to have one of the absolute most amazing and amusing press tours I've ever seen. Ghosted was directed by Dexter Fletcher and it stars Chris Evans and Ana de Armas alongside other stars. In here, a man meets a girl who he thinks is rather attractive. The two begin a sort of weird relationship, but before long they discover that the girl herself is a spy, getting him trapped in a world of espionage and adventure, and also putting quite the twist on their relationship. I had to see this movie because I am a massive fan of Ana de Armas and Chris Evans. I was a fan of what his work was in The Gray Man, and he's stepped out like with Knives Out. He's had a good career aside from what everyone mainly knows him as, which is Marvel, and Ana de Armas never fails to delight and impress me. And seeing that this was a rom-com, which kind of has the feels of older 80s kind of films, I really wanted to check out this movie, and despite the fact that this movie has been pretty much disliked by every critic and has had a mixed audience reaction, I had a really great time with Ghosted. This movie is exactly what it says it's going to be. It is a romantic comedy with a lot of action, and it takes the big name actors it has in it and uses them to potential, because these two, Ana de Armas and Chris Evans, have fantastic chemistry, and every scene they're in is magnetic. It keeps you really just enthralled in the story. But beyond that, something that we didn't know coming from trailers and things like that was that this movie was going to be chock full of cameos. And while that may just seem like fan service or something like that, I actually think it worked. This movie kind of feels like the Red Notice of this year. So I feel like if you liked Red Notice, you'll probably like this movie. And if you didn't like Red Notice, you probably wouldn't like this movie. So it's kind of like that kind of thing for me. The jokes in here pretty much all land, and the dynamic in here is really interesting. The actual plot involving what they're trying to, do isn't the most entertaining, and the villains are just villains. They're nothing spectacular, but this movie's not trying to be bigger than life or anything. It's supposed to be just a lot of entertainment with some effort put into it, and there's clearly effort here. There is genuine work that you can tell was put into making this film, and there's passion behind it, and the energy brought to it from everyone involved really shows, particularly that of the work of the cinematographer, who has some really interesting and cool shots here. Characters in here are comedic, romantic comedy characters mixed with action. The closest thing I could kind of compare this to is True Lies with Arnold Schwarzenegger and Jamie Lee Curtis. It's kind of got those feels to it. Overall, there's not a whole lot to say about this movie other than it's entertaining. I had a great time and I would highly recommend it. The movie is exactly what it sets out to be. It's face value, and it's all the more power to it. I would totally recommend you go out to see this movie, despite the fact, like I said, it's very generic and it's something we've seen before. I think it's a good enough spin and it's done right that it can be appreciated, and it's very enjoyable. I'm going to give Ghosted a 7 out of 10. So guys, thanks so much for watching. I appreciate you, and I'll see you all next time.